Good morning from the RHR studio here in New York. This is Ray W2RE. I'm going to do a quick presentation here this morning. Hopefully, it doesn't go too long. About building your first remote station. What the process is. How do you get from point A to point B? So, I'm actually going to show a presentation on a station that I don't own, but a remote station on the RHR network. I'm going to talk about how the process all went from finding the land for the client to building the towers. Keep in mind, this client is from New York City, Long Island. A very close friend. We became very close friends. The station is called W1 Lebec. W1 Lebec. And it's located in Maine. It's a really nice QTH, beautiful location, right on the Bay of Fundy in the Atlantic. So David, KA2HTV, came to me in 2017, I believe it was, and said, "Hey, I've been using the RHR network. I love how everything works." He goes, I want to build my own station in Maine. What do I need to do?" So I hooked him up. I think I hooked him up with my real estate agent, but I think he landed up finding a real estate agent on his own. He found several pieces of property. While I was up in Maine, I took a look at them, and he settled on this nice 20-acre lot in Lebec, Maine. So I'm going to talk about the process. So the first thing after he found the property, the first thing I had to do is obviously excavate and get the rebar cages in and start doing the concrete. Being that these are going to be rotating towers, I had to make sure the rebar cage were done first. So here I am with the rebar cage. This is on. I'm grabbing this from New York, and I'm put this in his location. So let me just scroll back here a second and just see. This is called the W1 Lebec. Lebec. I think if I put this whole album in the chat here, let me see if this will work. Maybe that'll bring you to the actual album itself, and you could follow along with me. So here I am, rebar cage. Second thing I had to do is form out the base. These bases for the rotating towers. I wasn't unsure. Before digging, I wasn't sure if we're going to get down the required 4 feet. So we form it out. Here's the excavator at the location. This is in Lebec, Maine. Station that I do not own, but it's on the RHR network. And the first thing we had to do is figure out where these towers are going to go and start digging. Got the first hole dug. Got the form. Got the rebar cage in. Good morning. Here we are with the excavator starting to dig. Before I continue on, let me just check in and say hello to everybody who's been in here. Lee, Golf 6 Mike November Delta, good to see you. John, Kilo Bravo 6 Oscar Victor Oscar. We got Richard, Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Lima Echo. We got Martin. Good morning, Martin. We got Phil Weaving, Golf 0 Paul. We got Paul, Mike 6 Kilo Quebec Kilo. Bob, Whiskey Sugar 0 Sugar. Up there in Massachusetts. We got Golf Whiskey 0, Japan, Washington, Canada in here. We got John O'Toole, Mike 0, Hotel Echo Mike. We got Nicola, Italy Zulu 3, Kilo Golf India. We got Julian, 2 Echo 0, Whiskey Kilo. We got Colin, who's not a ham operator, but soon will be maybe someday. We got Greg, Kilo Fox 0, Charlie United Zulu Stroke Alpha Golf. Congratulations, Greg, on getting your general. I know you've been talking about it. That's great news. We got Tony, Golf 1, Hotel Papa Delta. We got Victor, Kilo 2, Hotel Japan. Dominic, down there in Australia. We got Mario from Quebec, Canada. We got Lawrence, Mike Zero Lima Sugar Kilo, and we got a Kilo Oscar 4 Delta Fox Japan. We got Laura in here. Good morning, Laura. Twitch TV. Thanks for watching over there on Twitch. And we got Zoran, Zulu 33, Zulu Oscar Delta. And Mr. Dolan up there. Oscar Zulu 4, Papa Alpha Tango. Up there in Denmark. And look, we got another down under. In the Outback, Victor Kilo 8, November Sugar Bravo, Golf 1, November Fox Tango. So let me continue on here. So I'll recognize others after I continue a little bit here. So here we are. We're digging the holes for the concrete. Of course, we always take out the little tool here. I always forget the name of this thing, but this is how we get the guy anchors lined up. On a rotating tower, you want to be as precise as possible. You want those guy anchors exactly 120 degrees apart. So the best way to do it, take out this little tool here. Maybe somebody can remind me what the name of it is. It's a Pope. I think it starts with a P. Or maybe an R. Anyway. It's what happens when you get old. You forget things. So get this little tool out. Get this all lined up 120 degrees apart for the guy anchors. Like I said, on a rotating tower, you want to be as accurate as much. On a typical Roan 25 or 45, 55 tower, and you're not rotating it, you could be off a few degrees. Here's Lori. Lori always gets in on the action. Kilo Bravo 2 Hotel Zulu India. Actually on the base of where one of these rotating towers are going to go. Again, you want to be as precise as possible on a rotating tower when you do these guy anchors. Here we are, getting the concrete delivered. I've met these concrete guys out of Columbia, Maine. The only concrete company I use up there. The concrete's really good, and it's very inexpensive compared to, at least here in New York. I usually pay about $90 a yard up there in Maine. Where here in New York, I'll pay as much as $150 a yard. Columbia, Maine. And they don't even charge me for, they traveled probably a good hour to get here. They don't even charge a traveling fee, which is quite amazing. But then again, up in Maine, everybody's so spread apart. Here's Lori finishing off the top. That's one of the bases for the K0XG. After this concrete is cured, I should say, we take off the forms and then we backfill it with the dirt. Lori took out the drone this particular day after we got the concrete done. Of course, she took the picture. Here's the concrete in the hole. That's what it looks like with the form off. That's a big piece of concrete. So we got this tower, the Hudson Valley Tower trailer. This is how we transport all our material from one site, from the base location to the sites. So all the material for David Build KA2HDV showed up in New York. Other than the tower sections and the K0XG bases, everything else showed up, and I transported it from New York to Maine. I spoke about this yesterday, and I'll talk about it again. 90% of the material that we buy and when we build a station, other than the flex radios, the GXP antennas, and the amplifiers, everything else we buy from DX Engineering. So, in these boxes right here is all the big grips, Philly strand, probably anchors, turnbuckles, equalizer plates are all in these boxes. This is showing up at the home in Eastport. This is where we operate our home base out of Maine. This is the 100-year-old farmhouse that we bought, that we had remodeled. And here's the trailer and truck at the location. From me to get from Eastport to Lebec, I literally see the towers in Lebec from Eastport. It's about 3 air miles away. But for me to get to Lebec to Eastport, it takes 1 hour. I have to drive all the way around the bay. I have to leave Eastport, back out to US 1, which is about a 15-minute drive. Then I got to drive down US 1 for about another 30 minutes. And then I got to drive in to Lebec, which is another 15 minutes. So it's an hour drive, even though I could see the towers from Eastport to Lebec. The stations between Eastport and Lebec are only about 5 air miles apart, but 1 hour apart by driving. Could get there quicker with a boat, but that's not an easy way to get material over. Again, more DX Engineering. DX Engineering, I keep on, talking about it. On their material, shipping's free. You get over $100, they ship it for free. Okay, here we go. So we have a drop-off point in Maine. I have a guy not too far from the Eastport location. When you're building a station other than your home location, you're gonna want somebody who can take these deliveries. So here we are. I'm up here in Maine at the location. This is in Robbinston, Maine, not too far from the Eastport property. Here's my son Bobby, who turned 27 yesterday. We have a guy that has a forklift. He runs a trucking business, and he takes the deliveries for us. And here's the Roan 55 on pallets. These are taken off with the forklift. And again, this is material that I buy from DX Engineering. With the Roan 45, 55, 25, I think the shipping, I haven't checked in a while, but it was $199 shipped no matter how many sections you ship. So worked out really nice. We got probably here for David, we put up 260 feet of Roan 55 between two towers. So $199 shipping. To the right, and these boxes are the antennas. I'll talk about that more later. This is a 16-foot cargo trailer, and we got it loaded to the max with the material. And now we're going to transport it from the Eastport property to the Lebec property. Today we're talking about the Lebec build, if you're just checking in. We're talking about how to build a remote station and what is needed to do it with the material in the process. So let me just do something real quick here. I want to. If some people can put this stream and share it, would appreciate it. So here's the material in the trailer getting ready to be transported. You can see it, the trailer is completely loaded up. And again, you see the antennas in there. You see the DX Engineering material along with all my tools. We have a lot of tools in this trailer, a lot of rigging stuff. And it's very important that we have these things in the trailer at all times when we're doing tower work. Every time I go to a tower site and I don't bring the trailer, I kick myself in the butt because we won't have the right tool for the job, and then we have to run out to Home Depot or something. So I have a lot of duplicate tools as well, which isn't a bad thing. So, having a trailer to transport this stuff is really nice, but it's not needed for building your own station because you can have it all drop shipped directly to the location. For us, we're taking deliveries in New York, we're taking deliveries in Maine, so the trailer comes in real nice. So let's continue on here. Okay, so we're going to go to the next picture here. And this is the antennas. These antennas are called Momo beams. I'll talk more about that later. Here we are. We got the electricians. They came in after we got the concrete. Though that big piece of concrete that you saw earlier, this is what it looks like after we backfill it. Okay, the concrete's in, and here's the gray PVC with the electrical coming out. So we already got the electrical in. Hired the electricians, had them come in. Here's the Momo beams. Here's the DX engineered material. We got a lot of stuff to put together. Again, this is W1 Lebec. This is the Kilo Alpha 2 Hotel Tango Victor remote station. David lives in Long Island, and he has the remote station in Maine that we built, maintain, and it's on the RHR network. Here's the concrete pad. Bobby just leveling it out. Not that we can do anything at this point if it wasn't level, but of course it was level. Here's one of the guy anchors already backfilled after the concrete cured. Here's the base. Here's the guy anchor. And in Maine, there's a lot of pine trees. Here we are transporting more Roan 55. Roan 55. For rotating towers, it's great. You can put a lot of stuff on Roan 55. More Roan 55. Here's the Roan 55 being piled up at the location. Keep in mind, 90% of this work, 90% of this work is done by two men. The only time we have more than two people during the tower job is the day when the crane shows up. Because you really need three. You need three men when the crane shows up. One person on each guy wire. Very important to have that third hand. But this stuff all can be done with two people. And relatively quickly. So again, here's the concrete pad. Here's the tower section lined up. Here's Bobby to the left. Here's the HVT trailer. HVT meaning Hudson Valley Towers. Now we got the buildings being delivered. These are beautiful buildings that David had delivered. I think they came from southern Maine, down near Portland. These guys came up with the trailer. If you notice, they have metal roofs, wood. And this door right here is metal, and you can't break into it. Here they are with the trailer, with the buildings, and there it is. We got the building delivered. It's on site. They got it off. They got it off their trailers. We later moved these with the backhoe to the exact location where we needed it to be. If you notice, there's not even any sand or anything down yet, gravel, for us to put these shed on. But now they're delivered. We can always move them later. Here we are building the Momo beams. They're square boom. This is Cal W1IZL. He came down and helped us for the day. Momo beam. Square boom. I'll talk about this later. The Momo beam material is beautiful. Beautiful material. Here we are building the Momo beams. Now keep in mind, when David wanted the station built, he was convinced the Momo beams was the way to go. I told him I had no history with Momo beams. I told him when I built the antennas, I said the Momo beam booms look a little thin to me. But overall, I think everything else looked pretty good. I think they should survive. We followed everything to manufacturer specs. And the SWR curves were perfect. Here we are. Here's a 4-element full-size Momo beam. Talk about this antenna a little bit. As you know, I keep on saying I'll talk about the antenna a little bit because I want to show you the pictures. Momo beam. Momo beams. Here we are now putting the tower section together on the ground. So, with a crane, I don't know if many of you know this, but with a crane, this is 140 feet of Roan 55. They could pick that up in one shot. So we build it to the 140 feet, have the crane come in, pick it up in one shot. There it is. All 140 feet of the Roan 55 towers all laid out. Tower section, we got the building in place. The gravel came in. We got our electrical work coming up out of the ground. Here's another shot. Continue building the mobile beams. More mobile beam pictures. Okay, now we're back at the drop-off site. The drop-off site where we get all the material dropped off in Robinson, Maine. Again, the guy has a forklift, and all I have to do is buy him a couple bottles of liquor, take care of his forklift driver with a case of beer, and they're happy. And we're happy because they're getting the material off the truck for us. We have a drop-off point, and it's great. So here's the K0XG bases with the rings and some more Roan 55. We're able to transport one K0XG base in the back of the pickup. I just don't feel comfortable with our trailer putting one of these things in. They're way over 1,000 pounds. So we have it actually put into the pickup truck. And the way we transport it out of the pickup truck on the site is with the backhoe. If you look, here we are with the backhoe. We got the K0XG on the chain, and it's being lifted and put into place. And this is what the K0XG rotating base looks like. Like I said, it's about 1,000 pounds. I may be a little bit off on the calculations, but you're two men are not lifting this thing. I can tell you that. So if you look at the base, I don't have any pictures for this particular location. You'll see some anchors coming out of the concrete. We put those in after the fact. So those are anchors that expand in the concrete. You bang them in, you turn the nuts, and you're never pulling this out. Here's a picture of the 4-element 40-meter mobile beam. It sure does look beautiful. So, okay, we're starting to cook with gas here. We got the Roan 55 built. We got the mobile beams built. It's hard to see in this picture here, but here's Lee, Bobby to the right and Lee WW2DX to the left. We're getting ready for the crane to show up. Here I am. I got my hard hat on. Here's Cal, W1IZL. Remember I told you we need extra hands on crane day? Here's the new driveway we had put in so the crane could get in there. There's a process to making this all happen. We're building a remote station 500 miles from where the actual owner lives. And when somebody hires us to do something, we do it right. Here's Lee, WW2DX. He's wiring up the Green Heron controller to the K0XG. We want to test it, make sure everything's working. Here's Bobby reading the manual. Here's Cal, W1IZL, and here's Lee at the Lubec site going over the game plan with the crane coming here shortly. This is the Momo beam. Okay, the crane just showed up. It's a big boy. This should do the job. Okay. Unfortunately, because we were so busy, we couldn't get any pictures of the of us with the crane getting the tower sections up. But let me see if I can go back here. This is Ray, W2RE, and it's been windy here all day. Now that the sun is setting, we're at sunset here, the winds have died down. So we are going to attempt we are going to attempt to hoist up that big 40 and one of those tri-banders above this ring here. I'm sitting at 140 feet, sitting on the Atlantic Ocean. This is going to be a sick QTH. That's all water. Water.
Okay,
Been trying to
just move it along
that
here.
That one's about 40.
Okay, so the video quality wasn't very good there. Let me see if I go to the next one here.
Good morning from Lebec, Maine. How would you like to wake up to this every morning? Here's the first Momo beam, 16 element, coming up my way. The wind is blowing about 5 to 10 miles an hour from the northwest. This could be manageable. We're going to bring up the tri-bander first. This is going to go at about 120 feet. And then shortly after that, we're going to put up the big antenna down there at 135 feet. I'm on the ocean in Maine. It's about 45 degrees this morning. And here comes the first antenna. Here's the crane. Here's the view on the Atlantic Ocean. See all the boats out there. The lobstermen are out there already getting their lobsters. And here comes the antenna. It's going to swing up around towards me here. All right. Let me get back to work here. Just wanted to show a quick video of what we're doing at 6:30 in the morning on the ocean. 7-3 from Ray, W2RE.
Okay, so again, the quality of that wasn't very good. That was taken from my iPhone. And this is what it looks like after we got the two towers up. So before I continue on, let me just say hello to a bunch of people that checked in here. We got a pretty good crew in here on a Monday morning. We got Sam, Whiskey Alpha 2 Echo Papa India. Good to see you, Sam. Billy, Alpha 8 Kilo Yankee. Tanver, Sugar 21 Victor United. Good to see you in here. To buy property in Maine, it depends on what you buy, Nicola. I bought property as cheap as $45,000 and is up to $90,000. Depends on if you have a house or if you don't. Hello, Charles. Alpha 4 Lima Sugar, one of the RHR youths coming in on Twitch TV. You're up pretty early. Good Monday morning to you. We got Michael, Kilo Bravo 2 Oscar India Echo. Good to see you in here. We got Lawrence, not good to see you. We got Ralph, Delta Oscar 1, Kilo Radio Tango, Sorbello, Italy Tango 9, Italy Delta Golf, Icky, good to see you. Mike 6, Kilo Hotel Alpha coming in from YouTube, Paisley, Scotland, good to see you. We got Peter. Did you ever test the Sal 30 antennas? Yeah, they work well, Peter. We're going with beverages at our QTHs just because we have the land to do it, and we can do 1,000-foot beverages no problem. So, but the Sal is a really good compromise, I should say, but it really works well. We got Thomas, Kilo Charlie 1 November Japan Zulu. Good to see you in here. Bobby, 25 degrees there in Elmira. Yep, I know the feeling, Bobby. We got Mevludin, Memic, with the thumb up. Hello. We got Roll. Hello, Roly Boly. We got Joel coming in from Puerto Rico. Kilo Papa 4 Yankee Bravo. Good morning. Kilo Charlie 1 Italy Oscar Zulu. Kevin, I think you're in Maine if I remember correct. We got Tanner, Whiskey 9 Tango Whiskey Japan. Tanner operated WPX. I'm trying to remember what. CQ Worldwide phone. We actually lost the ISP during that contest. We got Rob. Hello, Rob. We got Dave. Oh, David's in here. David, I'm talking about your station. David Borenstein just checked in here. So we're talking about the Lebec build. And I'm going to tell him about the Momo beam, David, unfortunately. We got Mike Italy Zero, Hotel Mike Yankee. I'm glad you're enjoying the feed, Alan. We're just here, sometimes we operate, sometimes we do some commentary, sometimes we talk about how we build these stations. We got Randy, November 8, Kilo, Quebec. We got Dave, Kilo Yankee Zero Lima. By the way, David, after I'm done, you may want to put this on your Facebook page, your Lebec Facebook page there. We got Brian, Kilo 9 Tango India. I had a real nice email exchange with Brian. I don't know if Brian wants this to be out there, but I'm going to put it out there anyway because I think it's great. Brian has offered to open up his station to the RHR Youth Program. Absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate that email, Brian. If we can make that happen, great. If we don't, it's okay. But at least you put the offer out there. And, with the RHR Youth Program, we could do a lot of great things together. So thanks for the email, Brian. And appreciate the kind words. We got Papa Yankee 2 Whiskey Delta X-Ray out of Brazil. And David says, nice to see the Lebec build. That's great. And besides this album, I'm going to go to the album when we did the second phase and the third phase as well, David. So stick in here. Okay, so here's the two towers up. They look pretty straight to me. So let's go on. Let's continue on here. Here's a nice little picture. Here I am at the 140 feet. Here's the first tri-bander going up, Momo beam. Here's the moon. Okay. We got all three antennas up. So here's Momo beam number 1, Momo beam number 2, Momo beam number 3, and the 4-element 40. Everything looks perfect. Here's another view of it. Everything looks great. The SWR curves on the Momo beams were perfect. All looks beautiful. You could see everything straight, the booms look nice, everything good. Here's the Hudson Valley Towers. On this first stage of the W1 Lebec build, we only put the antennas on the first tower because the second tower, we didn't have the 6-meter Yagis yet, or the GX, well, we didn't know we were going to put up a GXP 7-element 7-bander, but we did. So we only did the first stage of the first antennas. This got David through the first season of operating. So he had 10 through 40 on the rotating tower. We had, I'm trying to remember what we had. Oh, we had 80 meter Foursquare put off the second tower because we weren't going to be rotating, so we just put it on the tower. And then we also had a 160 inverted out. So here's the whole crew. This is right here. You don't see many of these pictures, but if I could scroll, let me see if I can zoom in on this right here. Here we go. This is the RHR crew, the remote ham radio team. When we go to ham conventions or we do presentations about ham radio, people always say to me, I thought RHR was going to be a bunch of old guys. That's the perception out there. That RHR, the whole team is a bunch of old guys. No, I'm the old guy out of the group. I'm the oldest. I'm 55. Bobby right here just turned 27. Rock here, maybe 30 years old. He's our lead developer. And Lee, WW2DX, is who, takes care of the infrastructure of the system, customer support in the field, EME stuff. He's in his early 40s. So this is the RHR crew in front of the Lebec Towers. Remember, this crew right here, this 4-man team gets an awful lot done. Just wanted to throw that out there. Because sometimes, to be honest with you, this team right here is the most talented team in ham radio. Not only do we build stations, we remote them, We do everything right. We have an awesome youth program. We give back to the ham community whenever we're asked. None of us are making a ton of money here doing this. This is a labor of love. So just remember, when somebody happens to say something not nice about us, just remember it's 4 young guys. Except for me. I'm the old guy. So here's the pictures of the Momo beams. Sure looks beautiful. Looks beautiful. That's 3 tri-banders with a full-size 4-element 40. I was actually a little concerned about that full-size 4-element 40 15 feet above that guy ring. I did the calculations on the wind load and everything, and it was pretty much right near the spec, and I'm like, the maximum wind load. So I was a little bit nervous about that. Here's a drone photo of the Lebec build. So for those of you who are just checking in, because I just want to periodically throw this out there, those of you just checking in, we're talking about the W1 Lebec build. Not every station that we build are RHR owned. We've actually built remote stations for other individuals. And this remote build is the David Kilo Alpha 2 Hotel Tango Victor. David lives in Long Island. And RHR built him a remote station. David gets to remote his own station whenever he feels like it. He does it from his iPhone. He does it from his iPad. When he was traveling to Long Island to New York City before COVID-19, he would get on his iPhone on the train and operate DX. It's a win-win for David. It's a win-win for RHR. It's a beautiful relationship. David gets his station maintained. RHR and David, we make revenue off the station. We share the revenue. David gets to pay back his investment. He'll never be able to pay back his whole investment because this is a huge investment, but he gets to pay back some of his investment so he's getting a return on the investment. Not many other ham radio operators in the world can say that. Most ham radio operators, when they build a station, it's already a lost net from that point. We've taken the hobby. Some don't like it. We've actually turned these mega stations into a profit. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the W1 Lebec station from the start to the finished product. And, you're never actually finished when you're building a station. David has some big plans for the future on 160 and possibly another tower for 20-meter monobanders. We've been discussing it. COVID-19 set us back from a lot of things. I couldn't do too much in 2020. We'll see how things pan out. But David still has plenty of room to do a 160 full-size 4-square. He's got room to do another 20-meter rotating tower and possibly long beverages like we're going to be doing at the other locations. So here's a quick video. Okay, so that's taken from a drone. Bobby, KC2UPN, took that drone footage. If you notice, there's only antennas on the first tower. We got the first antennas up in October of 17 or 18. I can't remember the year. And then the following spring, we worked on the second tower. We didn't need a crane for the second antennas. I'll show you more pictures and how we did the second tower. So here we are. This is the spring of 18, I think. These are the antennas from Innov. Innov makes 6-meter antennas. So here we are. We're building the Innov antennas. So David has 8 over 8 over 8 over 8 on 6 meters in Lebec, Maine. It's the best 6-meter system in the United States. It opens the band to Europe before any other station from the USA on 6 meters. And it's very sought after. Once May comes around, people fight to get on that 6-meter station because it's that good. So here we are building these long 8-element Innov antennas. Innov antennas are very good. They do a fine business job. But I'm going to talk about the GXP 6-meter antennas in a little bit here. So remember when I said earlier in this presentation that from Eastport to Lebec, it's only about 2 to 3 air miles? Well, here I am. I'm physically sitting in Eastport. This is Lebec across the bay, and it takes me 1 hour in driving to get to that point. It's crazy. Have to drive all the way around the bay, get out to US 1, head south on US 1, and then shoot back into Lebec. 1 hour drive. It's about 40 miles. It's crazy. Here I am, and the sign, if you notice, it says Lebec, eastmost town in the USA. Settled in 1785. Okay, so remember I'm talking about the second tower now. We're up here with the Hudson Valley Towers. Here's Bobby, KC2UPN. We're building GXP 7-element 7-bander. And each of our sites in Maine, each of our mega sites in Maine has one of these antennas, the GXP 7-element 7-bander. And yeah, you're probably saying to yourself, why are you putting up this multi-band antenna when you have these tri-banders and mono-banders? Why would you put up a multi-band antenna? Very simple. This GXP 7-element 7-bander, we call it the Polish Miracle. You get 7 bands out of 7 elements, and listen to this lineup. 3 elements on 10, 3 elements on 12, 3 elements on 15, 3 elements on 17, 3 elements on 20, 2 elements on 30, and 2 elements on 40 from one boom. Works really good. So we use the GXP 7-element 7-bander for the work bands, 12, 17, and 30 at this location. But if something happens to the rotating tower on the second tower, maybe a relay pops or a radio dies inside the second builder or an amplifier pops, we're still in business because we got this 7-element 7-bander. And you know what? When somebody goes to this antenna, they don't know the difference between the mono-banders and tri-banders to this antenna because when you're in Maine, you don't need much. You could put a freaking wet noodle in a tree from Maine, and you're going to be louder than anybody in the Midwest or on the West Coast. So it doesn't take much. And this 7-element 7-bander GXP is your best option. If you're thinking about a step IR or one of those ultra beams, I'd highly recommend not to do it. I'm in the tower business. Those motors, those tapes, you're just looking for a disaster. This GXP 7-element 7-bander, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a U.S. distributor of the antennas. I do this as a favor to Waldeck because I believe in his product. This 7-element 7-bander is a really nice antenna, and I try to get more pictures. So here I am building the 7-element 7-bander. I also own, besides a remote ham radio, I also own this company, the shirt that Bobby's wearing, Radio Echo Communications. Radio Echo Communications serves the Northeast United States for ham radio operators that want antenna work done. We're fully insured. We're incorporated. And we pay U.S. taxes. Probably one of the few legitimate tower guys in the ham radio field. So when you hire us, you're knowing you're hiring a legitimate company. And we do an awful lot of work under Radio Echo Communications. We turn away more work than we take. I don't mind traveling, but typically we just hang around in the Northeast United States. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. So here we are. We're in Lebec. We're getting breakfast. Here's my two boys with me. Ray Jr. here now lives in California, so I lost a good pair of hands when I needed it. So here we are. Here's the GXP 7-element 7-bander on the tower with the 4 6-meter 8 elements. When we do it, everything is straight. Elements are straight. Looks perfect. Here's the two towers now complete in Lebec. Here's a picture of me putting the fourth GXP, end of 6 meter. We trammed it up on a tram line. Here we are in the field. Lee WW. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Nope, this picture doesn't allow me to do that. Here's the GXP 7-element 7-bander on the ground. I didn't actually put these pictures in order, unfortunately. And here we are building some other antennas. So yeah, we got a little bit off track there with the sequence of pictures. But here we are now. We got the two towers up, and now we're going to put up the 80-meter 4 square. The 80-meter 4 square is made of 4 aluminum verticals. And here we are with the hole digger. Bobby's got we call this a ditch witch here in the United States, where he's cutting into the dirt. So this way we could run all the coaxes and control lines. So before we pour the concrete, we got a nice 3x3 hole here. We got our this is black pipe, schedule 80 pipe, 3-inch. This is going to get buried in concrete, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. Being that we didn't need an awful lot of concrete, and the ground was pretty soft at this time of the year, this is the springtime, I believe, we decided that we'll pour the concrete by hand, but then I realized that there's no water at this property. So we had to pick up some containers of water from one of the local supermarkets. This is us after pouring the concrete by hand. These are 7-foot. We had to cut the 7-foot. 7-foot black schedule 80 pipe buried in concrete. And this is going to hold the DX Engineering verticals. So remember when I said earlier about Eastport to Lebec. I think this is a really good picture and why. Here's Eastport. Here's Lebec. All you have to do is just do a straight line from the two, and you're just a couple miles apart. But to get to Eastport to Lebec, you have to come all the way back out, and then out like this, and then come all the way back up and around. It's 40 miles, even though you could see I could see the towers from Eastport, but it takes me 40 miles to get there. Okay, here we go. Wish I had more pictures of this, but here's the 4 DX Engineering verticals. Freestanding. They're 69 feet. They withstand 92-mile-an-hour winds. We have had a couple of these snap, but I think it was because of ice load. There's the 4 square DX Engineering. I think I got a couple close-up pictures of this. So here's a really nice picture. Here's the winch that folds these things over down to concrete. Here's Bobby down here starting to run some radials. And that's the album there. But I have more on Lebec. So let me get in here and finish up the Lebec build here. Because sometimes we do these in stages.
here's more pictures on the Lebec Foursquare. So here's the material from DX Engineering. Here's us getting the Ditch Witch. Here's Bobby trenching with the Ditch Witch. You want to bury that control line in coax. You just don't want that laying over the ground, especially when we have this land. We have it brush hogged once a year. Those are pretty much duplicate pictures from the first album. Here's a few more pictures of the Foursquare. And here's the radio. Here's the radio plate. So not only does DX Engineering have these nice verticals, they also supply this radio plate. I think it's actually patented. I think they have a patent number on it. And here's the radio. So they supply you with the radio plate, and I think 20 nuts and bolts, all stainless, never rust. Instead of us getting additional bolts, we just doubled up on these nuts. So there's 64 radios on this system. Each vertical has 64 radios. We actually bought the radios pre-cut from DX Engineering. I look at it this way. By the time I get the wire and I spend time cutting it to 65 feet, then try to roll it up nicey nice for transportation, I'm going to spend a lot of time doing that. And when I'm building a station for a client, we're always looking to save time. It may cost more money to buy the pre-cut DX Engineering radios than cutting it yourself. But for me, time is money. So it's easier for me and cheaper for me to buy the radios already pre-cut. Now, if you're building your own station and you're under a budget, you're probably not going to do it this way. You're probably going to want to spend the time, cut each radio 65 feet on your own. It's going to be time consuming, but at the end, you're going to save yourself a few bucks. But if you're like me and you're not looking to save a few bucks and you're looking to get the job done quickly, the DX Engineering radials are really nice. When you unroll them, they don't get tangled. And the material, I think this is coated and it's very strong. For a matter of fact, I use some of these radio wires for wire antennas as well. That's the Foursquare. So that's the W1 Lebec build. It's really a beautiful station. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other albums on the W1 Lebec. Just checking here real quick. Oh, here we go. There's another album. Look at that. Here's the actual install on the second tower. Okay. I forgot all about this. And I forgot to mention the Lebec antennas. I almost skipped that. Okay. We got bad news and good news about Lebec. And David probably saying, please don't say. After we put those Momo beams up in Lebec, the first windstorm that came in, and the winds were probably only 50, 60 mile an hour, and that's typical in Maine. You know, we get really high winds in the state of Maine on the ocean. The Momo beam 40 meter, the boom actually bent. The boom actually had a curve to it. So I told David, I said, listen, this Momo beam has already failed after the first windstorm. I'm hoping we can get through the winter because I'm not going to be able to get a crane in there. This is like November now. I'm not going to be able to get a crane in there, and I don't know what we're going to do. But I already pre-warned him that Momo beam 4-element 40 was going to come down in the spring. And, he got a hold of Momo beam. They sent them replacement parts. And then we were going to wait till the spring. I told David, I said, listen, let's just put a GXP 3-element 40 on there and call it a day.
So prior to getting back there in the spring to work on the 4-element 40 and get that off the tower and put up a new 40 meter, the third tri-bander in the GXP stack actually snapped in half. The boom just snapped in half. This would never happen on a round boom. But on a square boom, it just snapped in half. And that's why I'm not a big fan of square booms. Never have been. And I was very reluctant of putting these Momo beams up in Maine. But David had a good rapport with the Momo beam guys. And they promised him the world. And these antennas may be good for, Delta 4 Charlie. But on the coast of Maine, where we get all types of weather, it just did not survive. So here we are. We come in the following spring. We order GXP antennas. And unfortunately, all that work to build those Momo beams, come back, build these GXP antennas, it cost David a pretty penny. He'll never recoup that loss. So here we are. We got the capstan winch. Now we're taking down the Momo beams and we're putting up GXP antennas. Here's the GXP antenna. Basically, all we're doing, we're taking out a 17-element Momo. What were the Momo beams? The Momo beams were either 16 or 17 elements. I can't remember. So we're taking out the damaged Momo beams and we're replacing them with brand new GXP antennas. We're not gaining any gain. The gain's going to be identical, but what we're gaining is reliability. And when you're building a remote station, the most reliable thing is antennas. You don't want to be replacing antennas every year. So you want to go with something that's reliable. And I can tell you right now, from my experience building all these stations, on the East Coast, West Coast, I've gone to Colorado. The GXP antennas survived the worst of weathers. So here we are with the 16-element tri-bander. We got the black truck in the field. That's going to be our tram line. Here I am testing the 16-element. Let's face it. I did not want to go back in there. and have a crane come in just to take antennas down and put them up. The crane putting up the tower is great. Doing it all in 2 days is great, but cranes are expensive. In Maine, they cost as much as $4,000 a day because there's no competition up there. It's one crane company, and you have to get on their calendar, and they charge an arm and a leg. So we actually trammed down the broken Momo beams and trammed up the brand new GXP antennas. Here we are. So here's a video here. This is on a tram line. There I am, just directing it, make sure it's going up with the right tilt. And you'll see a picture of Bobby on the capstan winch here. Okay? So that's how we tram up antennas. Here's the second GXP going up. Here I am. So when you're using a capstan winch and there's a lot of torque with the capstan winch, you don't want to be on the tower when you're pulling it up with the capstan winch, because a lot of bad things can happen. That capstan winch could stop working. the rope could break. We've actually had rope burn on a capstan winch. So you want to be really careful. So I don't climb the tower. I don't climb the tower until the antenna passes the guy wires. Once we're past the guy wires, then we no longer use the capstan winch. We use the brute force with rope and pulling it. Because a lot of bad things can happen. That rope breaks, that antenna falls, it's gonna cut that Philly strand like butter. You got a lot of sharp parts on an antenna. You have element hose clamps on the antenna. Any of those things could just cut that Philly strand. Until we clear the guy wires, I don't start climbing. So if you notice, this antenna has passed the guy wires, and I'm climbing to 140 feet. Here's Bobby watching, always paying attention. He does not take his eyes off the antennas while I'm up there. He's always making sure that, you know, when I'm on the tower, I may be missing something. So he's keeping his eyes while I'm on the tower. And here I am. I got it past the guy wires. And now the antenna's in place. So that's how we tram the antennas up. Here comes the second tri-bander. It's on the tram line. If you notice, it's about 15, 20 feet above the ring. This antenna. So if this antenna is going to go 5 feet above the ring, we put the tram line 15 feet above the guy ring. Because you want to at least be at least the height you're going to be. You can always lower it, but pulling it up is a little bit more difficult. So we always go a little higher than we're supposed to, and then we can always make the adjustment up on the tower. Always check. We always have an analyzer with us at all times. We check the antennas every time we pull it up on the tram line. Here I am with the AIM analyzer, just checking the SWR curve. The curve's going to be different at 30 feet compared to 50 or 60 feet or 70 feet or 100 feet. But if it's in the ball field, we usually go with it. So there's the second tri-bander. It's in place. There's the third tri-bander. We got the antennas in place, I think, at this point. Nope, no, we don't. Still working on the second antenna. Here comes the third antenna. This is the GXP 16-element tri-bander being trammed up into place. Bobby on the capstan winch. So we went from a 4-element 40-meter Momo beam and 3 17-element tri-bander Momo beams to a year later, less than a year later, to a 3-element GXP on 40 and 3 tri-bander GXPs on 40. Ever since going to the GXP antennas, we've had no problems. The Momo beams failed after the first windstorm. You live and learn. Sometimes, you know, it's why I'm always reluctant to go with something new when I have no history with a particular antenna company. But just like the Momo beams, they look beautiful on the tower. The GXPs look just as good. The performance is the same. There's going to be literally no difference in performance between the GXPs and the Momo beams. The only thing the GXP is going to give you is a round boom and reliability. Maybe we had some bad material from the Momo beams. Maybe they had a bad batch of aluminum. Anything's possible. Here I am setting up the guy boom struts. You know, one of the good things from the Momo beams is I left the boom struts up there on the bracket. They made these nice custom brackets for the Roan 55, so I was able to use those on the GXPs. So when we side mount these GXP antennas to the Roan towers, Waldeck made these really nice plates with the U-bolts, and they work really well for side mounting. So I don't have to go buy custom plates and make my own plates. I get them directly from GXP in Poland. Here's a drone photo of the actual install. And here's another video. This one's a really nice video. This is the following day after we got the 3 antennas up. It's a foggy morning. Bobby came back with the drone. And here I am connecting the coaxes to the stack match up on the tower. So I'm about maybe 90 feet there. I got the DX Engineering stack match right below the ring. I'm running the hard line. This is LMR 600 from each antenna. So if you hear that really loud signal on the band from Kilo Alpha 2 Hotel Tango Victor, these are the antennas he's on. And he's very, very strong into Europe. We've actually had people come in here and operate contests from this location and win. At the location, we have Flex 6500s and Elecraft KPA 1500s. And this is what it looked like after we took down the 4 Momo beams and put up the 3 GXPs. Now, I will give one good thing about square booms, and it's the only good thing about square booms. It's the only pro of a square boom over a round boom. You can get the elements lined up perfectly on a square boom. Where on a round boom, you have to actually spend time working on it. So, that's the W1 Lebec build. This is for Kilo Alpha 2 Hotel Tango Victor, his great station in Maine. And we went through the whole details from start to the current status. We got 2 rotating towers at the location, 10 through 40 meters, including an 8 over 8 over 8 over 8 on 6. Plus, we have the 80-meter 4-square. Currently, we only have a 160 inverted L at the location. Even that 160 inverted L with 2 elevated radios, it works amazing. So we have plans at this location in the future. When David gives me the okay, we're going to work on the 160s. So that's the W1 Lebec. I have a lot of other stations that I want to talk about in the future here, but I wanted to get this one in the books because a lot of people have been asking me about it. And look, we did it in 1 hour. So probably get in here tomorrow and do some operating, and then maybe work one day and talk about the Eastport build. I know the Summit build the other day. I lost the ISP, so maybe we'll get back and talk about that. But I also want to talk about looking for property, the process and how we do that. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of other things on the Lebec build. Everything. I don't have anything scripted here, so I just go with the flow. So I'm able to talk for 1 hour and do this presentation. Unscripted is pretty good, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching.